All right, good afternoon. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different again. So about close to 6 months ago, I started posting my portfolio update on Reddit after I decided to retire early from corporate life. So along the way, in Reddit, I get a lot of interesting discussions, and a lot of them are relating to, oh, why don't you just invest it in, low fee passive index fund like VFV, S&P 500, and that would probably be better. Some even goes to say that, if you do it like this, you're gonna go broke. Some say that you're doing a good job. So there's a lot of like a controversial opinion. So I decided to start a parallel portfolio to compare how other fund would fare in the scenario where you withdraw a lot more than 4% and then in a long sustainable period of time. And let's see which one gonna survive, which one gonna underperform. I might regret doing this in the future, who knows, but I thought it would be interesting, and I thought that I bring you along with me to take a look. So anyways, we're gonna be comparing these funds to my portfolio, which I showed you in the last video. And then basically everything is gonna be based on the living expense portfolio over here. So basically the reason I have to do it by hand because the withdrawal is different every month, right? So I base on the total payout from the living expense portfolio over here. However, sometime if I spend more, I might have to take it out more. So I find it is best to track it by hand. So I use the Excel spreadsheet here. So the fund that we're going to be looking at today is going to be the first one, of course, is the Godfather VFV Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. This one is probably the gold standard of investing. Like if your friend asks you, "Oh, I don't know what to invest in," most of the time you're gonna hear that just buy VFV, bro, and just forget about it, right? So VFV has been around a long time. It tracks S&P 500, has the lowest fee of like I think a 0.07%. It's the industry gold standard. Been for Vanguard, this one is hands down probably the most known fund. I think they have crazy amount of asset under management. So this one, of course, we're gonna have to compare with. And this next one is gonna be XEQT. This one is kind of like a global, I diversify, US, worldwide. It's basically like an all-in-one passive investing ETF, basically. So this one also very famous. There's even a whole subreddit, just buy XEQT. Of course, we're gonna be comparing this one as well. Been around quite a long time. One another stable, well diversified, low fee fund. So of course we're gonna have to compare this one. I think the fee is probably like a 0.2%, which is also very, very good. I'm not gonna go too deep in the fund because I think everyone already know what it is. And the last one we're gonna be comparing is HYLD, Hamilton US Cover Call ETF. It's another all-in-one cover call ETF with the slight margin. So I think they have about 20% margin. So we're not gonna be concerned too much about the small nuances. This one is a well diversified fund all in one. Have bond, have Canadian, have healthcare, technology, everything, and then do layer on top a cover call. It's probably one of the most famous cover call fund for income investing right now. Okay, so we're gonna be comparing all these together. Um, so basically, this is the portfolio that I compare. So how it works is that I have the total amount set on the initial, the inception day. And then of course every month we're going to be subtracting or adding shares based on how much we withdraw from the main portfolio, which is going to be the total amount over here. So let's say for VFV, every month we're going to be selling to 21.54 shares to kind of cover the expenses. This is the amount subtract from the dividends divided per month and also the cash interest. And then, after that, then we subtract the share amount that needs to be sold. So I have the history right here and the price at the time when it's sold. So far, this is the history. So this month is a bit higher because the YTSL increased distribution and then we use a little bit more. Okay, so XEQT, same thing. We have to sell a bit more share because the per share price is lower. But XEQT pay fluctuating dividends quarterly. So it shows over here that in February, instead of selling share, we actually adding 98 shares. And then HYLD, same thing. Okay, so HYLD is a little bit tricky because it pays such a high dividends. Okay, so the deal was about 12%. So the issue here is that how do we calculating the tax? So I punch it into the turbo taxes. It split out about 18 to 20% tax total, but I want to assume some efficiency because in reality you're probably going to have some of these in, tax advantage account. Some of them might be split between you and your partner. So I only going to calculate 10% taxes. So after taxes, everything, we are adding about 290 shares per month. And then, this is the next month they also increase distribution. So it's going to be, now this number going to fluctuate wildly. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at how these funds perform. And I want to keep you in mind, I want to preface by saying that this is a very short time span. Anything could happen, the whole point of a lot of these funds are for long-term outlook. So please don't draw any unnecessary conclusion from these data. And then with no further ado, let's take a look. Okay, so this is how I have the data spread out here. So the inception was on November 11, 19. The fund started a lot longer than that, but I just started tracking on 11/19. So far been about close to 4 months. The portfolio value starting at 932,000. We all starting at the same baseline, and then it fluctuates from there. My portfolio has a big bump from the Tesla, even though it's only like a small 5% of the portfolio, but it did get a big bump during the election, though it's kind of coming down right now. So far, the main portfolio actually beating out other one by a pretty good margin. And then the interesting part that I find is that my assumption would be that S&P 500 would beat XEQT by quite a bit, just because the growth had been concentrated on the Max 7. However, XEQT actually trailing behind pretty closely, so the strategy is definitely working there. HYLD, however, is struggling behind a bit, just because I think it's more diversified with the bond, and also with the heavy layer of cover call. Of course, it does limit the upside potential. So far, this is what it comes up with. Starting at 932, the main portfolio ending at 980 right now. S&P 500 ending at 968, XEQT ending at 957, and HYLD ending at 940. So far, despite withdrawing 3 to 4K every month since inception, the portfolios are growing quite nicely. However, if you're looking at the current time right now, I think today is the end of February 25th. We have like a big beating from a few days. Okay, so HYD is a little bit drop a bit right now. Same with everything else, but then we won't worry about that right now. I only gonna take monthly value on the same date. So yeah, so far that's what I have, and then I'm gonna be doing this update regularly along with the portfolio update. So if you're interested, feel free to subscribe, comment on what you want to see more of, and I'll try to make them. Thank you. I'll see you next time.